This is Raj and Pablo
on BBC Asian Network.
Pablo, I am really, really jealous. She never
that?
phoned us, she never called us, and she's becoming an RJ again.
I know. This is her second outing as a radio DJ, and I'm frightened she's going to put us to shame.
Yes.
We are talking about Vidya Balan. Vidya, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And you don't have to be worried about me putting you to shame. I think I've actually been inspired by all of you. So I hope I do a decent job. I hope I've done a decent job.
Tell us about Tumhari Sulu. You play a suburban Mumbai housewife who suddenly becomes a nighttime radio jockey.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, the very idea of that appealed to me. I found it funny, actually, you know, to think that a regular homemaker lands herself a job, you know, as a late-night radio jock, especially because if you've heard the late-night jocks in Mumbai or in India, they have a certain intimate sensuality to their tones. And you don't associate that with a regular housewife. So I found that very, very attractive an idea. And I'm glad, you know, Suresh went through with it, and we're here today.
Now, Vidya, we know from personal experience that when you're doing late night, you could be approached by anyone asking any kind of questions. Was there kind of like, okay, you know what, I'm really going to enjoy doing this because you never know what's going to come your way?
Yeah, I think there is a certain unpredictability to it. You know, it could be people who are slightly, who are being risque, or then there are people who are lonely. So you can really, or someone who's just doing it because they have nothing better to do. So I think the calls are really unpredictable, and I think that has been captured beautifully by Suresh in the film.
What was it about this specific film that you said, yeah, I'm going to put the Vidya Balan name to it?
Actually, you know, my sister's husband, Kedar Teni, is someone whose creative instincts I trust immensely. And for the first time in my career, he actually told me, he said, I met a director who wants to pitch an idea to you, and I think you must meet him. He's very, very bright, and I'll leave it at that. You figure the rest. So I met Suresh, and he shared a couple of ideas with me. When we met again, he had a full script, which was really beautifully written, and he narrated it to me. And his narration was really, it made the characters come alive, and it was almost like I was seeing the film play out in front of my eyes. So I thought, if he's as good a narrator, even if he's as good a director, we're, you know, safe. So that's how I ended up saying yes to the film.
Were you a bit hesitant because obviously you played an RJ before?
They're completely different people, firstly. And secondly, their job profile is, besides the fact that they're both RJs, one wakes you up, one lulls you to sleep.
You get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, exactly. That was never a consideration, actually. The fact that I've already played an RJ, because from the word go, when I read the script, I knew it was a completely different world from the world of Munna Bhai also.
We've got to ask you, you say you kind of grown up and you can do a late night show. If you had to pick up the phone and call a late night show,
what would you ask?
What would you ask? Don't be shy.
You know, I'm not being shy, but I'm just wondering what...
Okay, let's do it this way. It's the Raj and Pablo show. We're broadcasting late night. We've got a caller called Vidya Balan on the line. Vidya, welcome to the Raj and Pablo show. What's your question?
How can we help you?
Firstly, I'd like to say hello.
Oh, hello.
Raj and Pablo.
Oh, wow.
I can see where this is
sexy
going.
lady.
So let's ask you a few questions. Are you home alone? Are you a housewife?
I'm more curious to know whether you both are alone.
No, we're never alone now that we've got you with us.
So we get a sense of what the film's going to be like.
Raj and Pablo can never... You are the and between Raj and Pablo.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, always fun to speak to you.
We touched on this before when we've spoken to you, you know, after the success of things like The Dirty Picture, and, you know, everyone's saying that if there's a female actress who can carry a movie on her own shoulders, it's Vidya Balan. At that time, it was quite a pressure for you. Has that lessened now? Is it more about the art?
Yes, the pressure is definitely lessened because, a few of my films didn't work, or rather in the past few years, my films haven't worked. Of course, when the films didn't work, it saddened me. Sometimes it broke my heart.
How do you cope with the disappointment? When box office it hasn't done as well as expected.
Do you turn to friends? Do you turn to family? Or do you kind of become very insular and say, I want to just be on my own?
No, I actually talk about it to Siddharth, my husband, and to my family. I get it out of my system. That's the only way I can move forward. So sometimes I cry, sometimes I rant, sometimes I'm complaining, but I do that intensively, I think, for a period, and then once it's out of my system, I'm able to move forward.
The other thing I have to ask you, especially from a dirty picture, what that involved. You have gone on record to talk about the Harvey Weinstein aspect as well. How do you feel about all that happening now, and what is your reaction?
Some of the extremely successful actresses who've been through this chose to keep quiet about it for so many years is really shocking to me, which actually is a reflection of the fact that women find it extremely difficult to talk about sexual harassment wherever they are. So that's the unfortunate part. But I'm glad people are talking now. And it's not just the film industry. I think sexual harassment is prevalent everywhere. And I do know that, we hear of it more often now than we did before, which means that women have chosen not to keep quiet about it anymore, which is great.
One of the biggest things that we have to say is that somebody of your caliber and stature actually were one of the first people to actually speak about it.
Oh, thank you. So sweet. But I just feel that that's the only way. Thankfully, I haven't, ever been propositioned, or I haven't been through any sort of sexual harassment. But I will say sometimes you get this uncomfortable vibe from someone, I've walked away from work when someone's made me feel even slightly uncomfortable, because I always felt like it's not the end of the road if I don't get this one job. I think women need to remember that, and women need to remember that they have nothing to lose, maybe temporarily that opportunity, but they have nothing to be guilty or ashamed of, not in today's world.
Well, Vidya, can we just say it's a pleasure talking to you. And next time you are in London...
Or we're in Bombay.
We are going to come and find you, and we're going sari shopping. We always say this.
We need to go sari shopping.
Hey, that's a deal then.
A lovely one. Thank you so much.
Absolutely a pleasure as always.
Raj and Pablo on BBC Asian Network.